Silicon Valley was, I wish I could say they were up on the Hill today testifying at a hearing, but they were all via Zoom, whatever. So they were calling in. I didn't think this was going to happen. It looked like the Republicans were kind of stepping back and they weren't going to call them forward. But after the New York Post fiasco, they pretty much said they'd had enough, and they started to call them in to ask them why the heck they seem to be so biased on throttling just because pretty much it looks like you're a conservative or you don't toe their line. They're throttling or outright, banning you. Actually, New York Post, they're going on 2 weeks now of still not being able to post on their account. Ted Cruz has been one of the most fiery people talking about this. I love it when he really gets after him. He went after Jack Dorsey today. Take a look at this.
Anyone can tweet.
So Twitter takes the view you can censor the New York Post, you can censor Politico, presumably you can censor the New York Times or any other media outlet. Mr. Dorsey, who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear? And why do you persist in behaving as a Democratic super PAC, silencing views to the contrary of your political beliefs?
Jack Dorsey, of course, looking like he was doing a video conference as a captive of the Taliban in the mountains of Afghanistan. I don't know what's going on there.
Or that he just joined them.
Or it's Rasputin. Maybe that's a better way to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look he's going for. I watched this and it was so infuriating. Every single time he would answer a question about bias, he would say that they don't have bias. There was a GPI actually came up with showed a bunch of tweets that they hadn't censored or tried to throttle. And it was the Ayatollah Khomeini talking about the destruction of Israel. There's that one right there. We will support and assist any nation or group anywhere who opposes and fights the Zionist regime. And we do not hesitate to say this. There was multiple others that are absolutely ridiculous. They go talk about Holocaust denial. None of those were throttled. He was confronted on censoring Trump, I think 65 or 66 times, but Biden, 0. And every single time, he never really had an answer. He just said, nope, we don't do this. You guys are very heavy on social media. I'll just throw this to Chad. Have you personally noticed this?
Oh, yeah. And anybody that wants to even come at me with that, let me tell you, I got the graphs I can show you. I can show you from their very own graphs. I can show you objective graphs from sales reports, from the traffic that we use. Look, you want to talk about falling off the cliff with the restrictions. I get warnings, and I don't even get the warnings that I've been warned. They don't even tell me. And then we go back later, weeks later, and it shows something from 3 weeks ago that they flagged because it might contain something that has been speculated to be false. Right? They don't know. Yep. They have no idea if it's this idea of independent fact checker. You want to talk about an oxymoron? There's no such thing as an independent fact checker who's out there doing that. Everybody at this stage in the game has a bias.
I don't get these fact checkers. I don't think people understand what it's like to not be a liberal, either influencer or someone that's on social media or an outlet like BlazeTV. But it's a daily struggle. And the other side, they don't have to deal with anything like this. They trust these fact checkers. We had a fact check the other day about the Biden family slave owners. And they fact checked us on it. They didn't even read the report. And they said it was false based off of something that we didn't even say. So eventually, after we brought it up, they had to come back again and they got rid of it and let the story go. But it shows you if they're wrong on that, how wrong are they on everything? Yeah. I think your content is interesting because you can probably have an easier gauge because you do stuff that has nothing at all to do with politics and other stuff that's more political aligned. Can you tell a big difference?
Oh, absolutely. Like when I do stuff that's like strictly gaming or strictly entertainment for that matter, I generally don't have any sort of problem. And when I do say something that is, and I think we all have to kind of go through this, libertarians and conservatives alike, it's like we have to try to, because we are under the expectation, definitely now, that it's either going to be censored, that it's going to run through these independent fact checkers. I don't know. I don't really personally know anybody that's like a conservative or a libertarian that's active on Twitter that hasn't at least had a 12-hour, 24-hour ban, 3-day ban. I've had all of that on really all forms of social media except YouTube, surprisingly. But of course, we experience that, and especially on Twitter. And that's always been the problem with the independent fact checker. The independent fact checker is yourself.
Yeah.
That's who the independent fact checker is. So if you could just go and look at the stuff for yourself, and it shouldn't be up to those folks to try to funnel it for us. Like we can analyze it ourselves and see if it's true or not. Exactly. We don't need you to baby us.